It's wonderful to be back here in New York and have an opportunity to talk about peace. We all want our lives to be peaceful and calm and tranquil. And we are striving our very best to be in that state. But unfortunately, with all the efforts that we make for life to be in tune with how we would like it to be, it just doesn't turn out to be like that. You know, all of you who live in New York, you live in the Big Apple where people from all over the world come and melt together. And so people come from different cultures, from different backgrounds, followers of different faiths. And so as you live with them and as you work with them, for us to expect that everyone else would behave exactly as we would is not practical. As human beings, we all think that whatever we think, whatever we say, and whatever we do is 100% right. And we expect others to be able to understand what is within ourselves even without saying anything. So we think we should do something one way, we think that someone else would understand that automatically, even when we've not explained it to them. And so when they do something contrary to what we expect, there's tension, there's stress, there's strain, and the peace goes away, because all of a sudden we ourselves are the ones who have a difficult time dealing with it. It's not that it's a problem that someone else has created, it's that our expectations are so high that we are unable to deal with that situation. And since peace is the absence of strife, strife is always in our life, and it's very, very difficult to be able to get to a state in which we think we are at peace, because our understanding and our point of view of looking at things is only happening at the level of our physical consciousness. We are bombarded by thoughts day in and day out. Whether it's thoughts of one thing or another, whether it relates us or makes us in a state where it's painful for us, these are all distractions. And they take our current moment away and they force it into a situation in which we can't be still. As we start to think about what has happened, today, you know, there are doctors, there are scientists who are researching and everything. So they now today found the body-mind connection. They say the physical body is going to be distraught once your mental state is not as stable. And the mental state is not stable because of thoughts coming to us from all directions. And so today, the stress and strain of life is what many doctors and people in the medical arena are telling us are the causes for our heart diseases, for our breathing problems, for our digestive problems, and for other problems in the physical body. So what is the solution that has come to us? The solution that is put forward is detoxify the body. Detoxify the liver, detoxify the kidneys, detoxify the other organs in the body. And so many people in the last 10, 15, 20 years have been on the detoxification kick to be able to detoxify the physical parts of the body, because the process of detoxification is to take the poisons away. Take that away which is bringing trouble to those parts of the body. But even after fixing the liver and fixing the kidneys and fixing the other parts of the body, we still find that we're not peaceful. Because it's not the body which is bringing us to a state in which we can't be calm. It's our mind which is so much engrossed in the activities of the world outside, our mind which is drawing us in so many different directions, that we are unable to be calm, we're unable to be peaceful. And so when we start to think about being peaceful, we need to get to the core of where the problem is coming from. Because if we fix something on the periphery, then maybe on the outside we're fixed, but if the trouble is on the inside, it's going to keep on coming out and keep on coming out and keeping coming out. So we need to go deep into where the source of the problem is and fix it right there. Our mind is a lover of enjoyments. Our mind wants us to be absorbed in the activities of the world outside. Our mind is taking our attention, which is the outer expression of our soul, and putting it into the world through our physical senses. A sense of sight, a sense of hearing, a sense of smell, a sense of taste, and sense of touch are the senses through which our attention is going out into the world. And this physical world is temporary. This is not going to last forever. Everything in this world is there for a short period of time. We might think that 100 years or 200 years or 500 years or 1,000 years or 10,000 years, long period. But when you look at the time of when creation came into being, and today, these are like specks on the longitude of time. And so the key is to be able to recognize that when we attach ourselves to that which is temporary, our relief would be temporary too. Unless we attach ourselves to that what is permanent, we are not going to be able to be in a state which will give us perpetual peace, perpetual harmony. And so the key is to find something which will last and last and last. So we search in the world. We search in our scriptures, because it's in our scriptures that the writings of the great saints and mystics are there, their teachings are there. We look at their lives, we try to emulate what they did. And what is very interesting is, when we dig deep into any faith, all the founders of the faiths had some kind of communion with God. Someone might have sat under the bo tree like Lord Buddha, okay, and had his communion with God. Someone might have sat in a cave and had their communion. For someone, it might have been that the skies opened up and they had a communion with God. So they had some kind of a relationship with God, the Creator. Because the Creator was there in the beginning of creation. The Creator is there today. The Creator is going to be there till the end of creation. In the sixth scriptures it is said, Aaj sach, Jugaad sach, hai bhi sach, Nanak, hosi bhi sach. He says, what was truth in the beginning, what was there in the beginning, is truth today, is there today, it will always be there till the end of creation. So we need to connect with something which is stable. And what is stable is God, the Creator. We can call God by any name. We can call them Vaheguru, we can call them Paramatma, we can call them Jehovah, or any other names we can have to talk about the Creator. The creative power, it brought all creation to being. That is what is stable. So how does one connect to that? By detoxifying the mind. Our mind is covered by layers and layers of mind, matter, and illusion. Our mind is what is distracting us and putting our attention to the world outside. So we need to find a mechanism so that the poisons of the mind are removed. So the mind gets in a state where it's in tune with God. So the mind is getting to a state where it's loving. It's experiencing the love of God. And then we will be able to find a connection with the Creator. And so the first thing to do is to recognize the difficulties to our existence are coming from the mind. Once we recognize that, then we take steps to fix that. Today the doctor is saying, okay, there is the body-mind connection. But no one's talking about the mind and soul connection. This body is also going to deteriorate. We can live for 60, 80, 100 years, maybe with the technology improving 120, 150 years in the next, century. But each and every one of us is going to shed this physical body one day. So as we connect with the physical body, then we are thinking of self as the physical body, then all of our attention, all of our activities are focused on keeping the body fit and fine. But we forget about what gives life to this body. Those of you who've seen someone physically pass away, if you look at their bodies, they don't look any different than what the body was when they were alive. But we see them either, lying down in a casket, but they can neither walk, neither they can talk, neither they can see, neither they can hear. But it's not like any parts of the body have been removed, or they have shrunk, or something else has happened. So what is it in that body that we are now saying this person is dead? To us, they look about the same. It's the soul in the body, it's the power behind the body, it's what gave it life. And as long as that soul was in the body, that body was active, it was alive, it could do things. But when this powerhouse left the body, and the soul left the body for good, never to come back in that human body, we say this person is physically dead. So what do? They could be our husband, they could be our wives, they could be our children, they could be our grandparents, they could be those who we love dearly, and we say, no, now we need to either cremate them or bury them based on whatever faiths we belong to. That the body which is made of matter is put back into matter. The process of burying the body or to cremate the body is such that the body which is made of matter, those elements are going back into matter. Because we realize that the person is gone. And the body then goes back to the source from where it came, which is matter. And so, as a person, we need to think, if our real self is not this physical body, why are we trying to fix it? We're fixing the outside. The real self is our soul. We need to fix the soul, and so the mind, which is like dragging the soul into the world outside, needs to be in a state where the mind is helping the soul rather than dragging it into the world outside. The mind is helping the soul connect back with God. Soul, which is a part of God, which is part of the oversoul. Like in the East we call the soul Atma and God Paramatma. Like the soul is a drop of the ocean of all consciousness, which is God, the Creator. And so the key is to be able to detox the mind so the mind understands that it does not have to go into the world outside. It needs to focus its attention on God. And when we are able to do that, then we will be able to fulfill the very purpose for which we've come into this world. Our mind, through anger, through attachment, through jealousy, through greed, is defiling us. It's putting us in the world outside. It's making us live a life of duality. And wherever there's a life of duality, we are never going to be able to find God. Because our mind is making us boost our ego, where our mind makes us feel like, hey, we are better than everyone else, we can do this better, we can understand this better. And so it's creating this duality where it's we and there's them. And so the key is to recognize that what is needed is not duality in our life. As long as the mind would be in charge, there'll always be duality. So the mind will always tell us, okay, you are different than someone else, you're better than someone else, and will keep us in that mode. And then, to prove that, we're going to try to do things in this world. We try to amass more wealth, we try to have more possessions, we try to get more knowledgeable, we want to then show others that we have those states. Why? Because we think we are different than them. The key is to get to a state where the mind recognizes that when it puts us in a state of duality, then we are never going to be peaceful. Because when there's two, there's always this competition. Even there's two brothers, or brother and sister, or husband and wife, there's something going on between them. It's very difficult to find that oneness. And so the key is to be able to find mechanisms by which we are able to take out these poisons of the mind. And this is why saints and mystics have all talked about an ethical life being a stepping stone to spirituality. That we need to be ethical, we need to be truthful, we need to be humble, we need to be loving, we need to be caring, we need to be of selfless service, we need to be non-violent, so that we don't create turmoil around us. We all are in turmoil because of our expectations, because we expect this to happen, this to happen, this to happen. But God gives us what is right for us. Not my will, but thy will be done. If we really understand that, then we'll find that life will be very calm and peaceful. Because the ups and downs of life are always going to be there. There's always going to be some difficulties that come in our life, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, or whether it's spiritual. There's some kind of difficulty that we all go through at certain times. And so some of the difficulties might be coming from a past karma, some of my difficulties which we are creating on our own. But to expect that our life would be without any difficulty is not an expectation which one should have. So there will be turmoil in our life. But so how we deal with it? We will always have ups and downs in life. But those are short-lived. To us, they might look very long. They might look like, if it's a pendulum of good things and bad things, it looks like our pendulum stuck on the bad things all the time. But if you look at your life carefully, there are some times where you're very happy, your school teams win the championship, or something good is happening to you, you get a promotion, something comes which is not expected, you're very happy. There are other times when you're in pain. You study very hard, you want to come first in the class, you come second. And you say, why didn't I come first? But not everyone can come first all the time. So you have to think of things like that. That those times will pass away too. And once we learn to be patient like that, once we have faith in God, then we become patient. When we learn to be patient, then what is defiling our mind starts to fade away. And we need to be able to get to a state where the mind, which is bringing turmoil to us because of his attachment and his attention to the world outside, can be calm and quiet. So how does that happen? So now we have to have a solution. Otherwise we keep on talking about the problem, but we don't know what the solution is. So first you identify what the situation is, then you find out what are the causes of the situation, then you find out what is the remedy. But once you know the remedy, then you have to practice the remedy. Okay. So the key is to connect it with the source of all happiness and joy and peace. All of our scriptures tell us that in the beginning was God, and from God came this creative power, whether they call it the Holy Word or the Naam or the Shabd. This creative power has two primal manifestations, that being the divine light and the divine sound of God. And so they brought all creation into being. So many regions of existence were created. Some people say there were 22 regions of stillness, and then a little more turmoil, a little more turmoil, a little more turmoil, a little more turmoil, and here's a world where there's tons of turmoil. Okay. Other people talk about 5 planes of existence, some people talk about 8 planes of existence. There are different ways where different faiths have tried to talk about the existence and regions beyond the physical. But there's a belief that there are regions of existence which we can't see with these eyes or hear with these ears. Because these eyes and the ears and our sense of smell and sense of taste and sense of touch are only to deal with, to interact with others who are made of matter also. And so these are all limited. Like we can only hear certain frequencies, and they say like the whales in the ocean can send messages like thousands and thousands of miles away, and they can hear because their frequencies are different than what we are. When the tsunami hit a few years ago, they say that the elephants who were in that area, 3 days before the tsunami hit, started to move up to the mountains, and we, with all our big machineries and all our weather bureaus, could not figure out the tsunami is coming. So how did the elephants figure out? They have some other senses that are working, which we as human beings are not aware of. And so there's much that happens which is beyond whatever we can experience. And so all the saints and mystics talk about this divine power of light and sound which is reverberating within each and every one of us. And we can connect to it. All human beings have what is called the spiritual eye. Here, between and behind the two eyebrows, the single or the third eye. This is the spiritual eye. It has nothing to do with matter. Yeah? This opens up into the inner spiritual region. And there are references to the single eye, the third eye, the Shiv Netra, the Dasma Dwar. In the scriptures of basically all the faiths of the world. That this opening is what can guide our soul into the inner spiritual regions. That happens when we silence the body and silence the mind. If the body is in turmoil, then our attention will go into the body. Let's say the body is paining here, we can't sit, we are shaking, then we can't focus within, we have to focus attention there. So first we need to still the body. Then we need to still the mind, because if the mind is sending thoughts to us, the thought will take us to New York one day, to Chicago another one, to Delhi another one, or to be in any of the activities, to take the kids to school at one place and to take them to the classes after school another. So the mind will distract us in all these directions. We need to still the mind. So when the body is still and the mind is still, is then that we connect with this divine power within. And so that process can be called meditation, it can be called inversion, it can be called sitting in silence, it can be praying with attention. There's many, many names in which our attention, which is going out in the body, can be focused within. Because all the joys are within ourselves, all the peace is within ourselves, all the calmness is within ourselves, all the tranquility is within ourselves. So once we learn a technique by which we can still the body and still the mind, then we can connect with this source of divine light and divine sound, and that starts to cleanse our mind. That starts to detox our mind, that starts to take the poisons of our mind out, because it's the connection with the divine power which puts us in a state of calmness. And then as we sit to meditate, and as we connect with the divine power, then we find that not only for the time that we are sitting is that calmness with us, its effect is that it stays with us for long periods of time, for many, many hours afterwards. And this is why the saints have always recommended to be able to meditate on a daily basis. So every day, and mostly if we look back at history, people would talk about the early morning hours for meditation, because meditation is nothing new. It's not coming from this century. It's been there for thousands of years. And this is even before we had electricity, and even before we have all these fancy homes. People used to live in the huts and in the forest. And so that was the time, early morning hours, before the sun would come out, before the birds started to chirp, because that was the quietest time of the day. And so the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. is called Brahma Muhurat. Brahma Muhurat means the time to meet God, or Amrit Vela means that that's when the divine nectar can be connected very easily. So that's still the quietest time today, even though today we have factories running 24 hours a day, we have hospitals running 24 hours a day, people have jobs and shifts. So if you can meditate in the early morning hours, that's the best. But if you can't, because you're working at that time, then pick up a time in which you're not tired, in which you're relaxed, to be able to meditate. And once you do that, then you'll find that as we still the body and as we still the mind, then the calmness that we experience is what is going to put us in a state of peace. Now, as we connect with this divine power, then this power is going to be there forever. It's not just for a short time. The power is within us, our connection that we have to make. And the more we connect with it, the more peaceful we are, the more we find that our mind is getting stiller and stiller and stiller. The poisons of the mind put it in turmoil, and the turmoil that we need to deal with. We need to remove those states which put the mind in that state. So once we can calm that mind down, then our connection with the divine power happens. And once we experience it, when we do it regularly, we find that our life gets peaceful, gets calm, and we're able to enjoy life as we all should be enjoying. So I want to leave you with a very small meditation. If you go to your homes, if you like it, you can practice that. Please sit as comfortably as you can. So we can sit in any manner that we want, but let's be comfortable and pick up a pose in which we won't be moving, which will be still. Just make sure no part of your body is touching the person next to you, otherwise, if they move, you'll be distracted. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, as if they focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. Many people try to raise their eyeballs. They think that the seat of the soul is between and behind the two eyebrows. They feel we'll get there quicker, but let us understand that these eyeballs are made of matter. They're only to experience the world outside. What we're going to experience within is by a spiritual eye, by a third eye. So if we raise them, mechanically we'll be putting pressure on a forehead, which might culminate in a headache. Our eyeballs should be straight in the horizontal plane. Now, as soon as you close your eyes, you might be bombarded with thoughts. So to deal with that, please repeat any name of God you feel comfortable with mentally, not out loud. Because if you do mental repetition, then the power of the mind will then go into repeating God's name. We repeat God's name because we want to connect with God. If those of you who do not believe in God, you can repeat a name which will give you peace, which will put you in a loving state, that's fine too. But most people do repeat the name of God because that's the journey we want to take. And as you repeat God's name, then you'll get to a state where the mind's power would be used to repeating God's name, and the mind would then not be able to send thoughts to you. It is practice to get there. Meditation is a practice. And as you get to that state where the mind is not sending thoughts to you, in front of you, light will sprout forth. It could be flashes of light, it could be circles of light. The light could be of various colors. It could be golden, it could be white, it could be red, blue, green, yellow, or any other color. Keep your attention right in the middle of the experience. And then with time, you'll find that these lights are stabilized. So what exactly is happening is the light of God is within each and every one of you. When you are concentrated and your mind is still, you see the light. When you're distracted or the mind is giving you some turmoil, then you experience darkness. And with time, as your mind gets still more and more and more, as you get concentrated more and more and more, you experience the light more and more and more, and it looks like it's stabilized to you. And then there are many other vistas open up, a sky full of stars, in a moon, in a sun, and many, many other vistas. Whatever is right for you will be opening up for you. So just gaze in the middle. I pray to God Almighty and to the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Prasanna Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light and its effulgence. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off.